weigh lightly that you have chosen with intention to come here today to celebrate this collective and shared victory made possible because of the many TPS holders who did come forward and share their stories. The advocates, my colleagues in government, and God.
Amen. Amen.
And one of the questions that he put to me was to explain what compelled me to fight so hard for our Haitian neighbors. He got it, but could I explain it to others? And it has dumbfounded me that people are in disbelief that someone who is not Haitian would fight so hard. As I have said many times before, if Black lives matter, Haitian lives must matter. Sudanese lives must matter. Congolese lives must matter. This is a global diaspora, and I am committed to the safety, the humanity, and the freedom of all marginalized people. But I want to take a moment just to say, I have to start at the beginning and just recognize a couple of elements here. First, many years ago, I was an aide to Congressman Joseph P. Kennedy II. That is when I was first introduced to the Haitian community as an intern. I'm now the Congresswoman for the office that I was an unpaid intern in, working 3 paid jobs 30 plus years ago. Seed of connectivity to a broader diaspora and an awareness. Then, in 2008, when I was running for the Boston City Council at large, certainly knew Marie St. Fleur, Linda Dorsina Forey, incredible trailblazers and history makers. But I got to know this brother because we were sharing many stages and spaces together when he was running at large, Jean-Claude Seven. And when Jean-Claude, who ran a story, very impressive campaign, I think earning maybe 10,000 votes in that first run, when he did not advance beyond the primary, he then vouched for me to the community on all media channels, never knowing, Jean-Claude, that one day I would be the Congresswoman to provide some hope to the community. I also, in that time, met Eno Mondesir and Pastor Kiki. But I just want to say that now Eno and I, Dr. Mondesir and I, share the same birthday. And February 3rd was a hard birthday because that was the deadline for the extension of temporary protected status. And we were praying and holding out on all hope, and I often invoke that adage, as we are all a praying people, but when you pray, move your feet. We continue to pray and to move our feet. Now, before I get to our counselor and our governor's counselor, let me just say this. It is unfortunate that for many in the country, they have gotten to know the beautiful country of Haiti and the Haitian diaspora and people through violent, racist tropes being trafficked and stories only of trauma, violence, corruption, and destabilization. This fight is we have demonstrated to the world that the people of Haiti are so much more than your traumas.
That's right. Yes.
Haitian people are proud.
Yes.
And you know what else this moment affirms? You are powerful.
Yes.
This sent a message to the country and the globe, an affirmative message of your contributions, of your power, and that you have champions because you matter.
Yes.
You have champions because you are patriots, more patriotic than many people who were born here. You are powerful because of your contributions. Our numbers have continued to grow when it comes to Haitian elected officials throughout this country. Please never take their leadership for granted. They are history makers. And they move with moral clarity, strength of courage and conviction each and every day, carrying each and every one of you in their heart and when they need to on their backs. So please, can we salute them? Not only are you loved, especially by me. This is deeply personal. I'm an only child, and I must say, it has been extraordinary. I was in Chelsea earlier today, and Haitian people were getting out of cars in traffic to embrace me and putting family members on FaceTime. And here I am, this only child, and my mother, who some of you had the honor of knowing, passed away 13 years ago after a long battle with leukemia. I suddenly have so many Haitian mothers.
I do.
So I have so many brothers and sisters and cousins and aunties and mothers and uncles. But this is personal. My mother, in the final weeks of her life, as I was fighting to extend her life and to preserve her dignity while watching life ebb from her body, it was Haitian nurses who prayed over my mother. Who wrote her favorite scriptures on pieces of paper and taped them all around the room. It was Haitian nurses who oiled my mother's scalp and braided her hair. It was Haitian nurses who bathed my mother and who cared for her. So this is deeply personal. And I know, though it is my story, it is not my story alone. There are millions who have benefited from the nurturing care, compassion, and fervent prayers of Haitian nurses as home health care aides in our hospitals and our nursing homes. And I share that story because behind every number, there is a life. There is a value, there is a meaning, there is a purpose, there is a contribution worthy of being named, recognized, affirmed, and celebrated. Yes, there are many traumas as a people you have been forced to endure. Many injustices, but you are more than your trauma. You are powerful. You are proud. And you are loved, especially by this Congresswoman. So, finally, because I know Councilor Louisiana and I would be going back and forth many times, and I must say, when many people were in her ear, nervous and doubtful, even afraid to believe Because it's always impossible until it is done.
Yep, that's true.
And I need you all to understand that we were doing something that no one could envision because it had never happened.
That's right.
So you didn't make Haitian history. Together we made American history. We made American history because in 40 years of discharge petitions, there has never been an immigration victory, ever. And in the last 40 years, only 15 of those discharge petitions even met the 218 threshold. You are more than your traumas. You are powerful. You are proud. You are patriots. And with this discharge petition, you are history makers. But I want to say this about Councilor Louisiane when she would say, some people are worried about this and they fear this. And I said, I got this. And she said, I trust you.
Yes.
And that not only spoke life into me, it was a tremendous responsibility because this is deeply personal. And I'm so glad that I can make good on my word. So in addition to all of her sweat equity and all of the many people in this coalition that she named and many more that we'll forget because of an error of the head and not the heart, I told Ta-Nehisi Coates today that for me this is a divine assignment.
Amen.
And that is why, before I went into the House chamber, minutes before the vote was to take place, I was calling anyone I could and saying, please have Pastor Kiki call me. And when we finally got on the phone, I said, Pastor, will you pray with me? And his final words were, you put on the armor of God. And you go out there in defense of his children. So there were many hands and divine forces at work. And many people in the years leading up to this moment that made it possible. So although it is very humbling that you see me, what matters most to me is that you know that I see you. And I always will. And as I close, it would not be appropriate to not invoke Franklin, who we miss every single day. And I know he would have been shoulder to shoulder with us in this fight. And he would be leading the dance in jubilation. I know that. So can we just clap for our brother who we miss every day? So I will just end there, and now we will turn it over to the most important part of this, and that is hearing from our temporary protected status holders. Again, the fight continues as we await, oral arguments from the Supreme Court. The fight continues as we wait a status on an amicus brief that we have filed. The fight continues as we demand the Senate take this up quickly. If you have not already been read in, the two senators that have taken this up on the Senate side are United States Senator, Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey, and also the senator, one of two black women senators serving in the United States Senate, Lisa Blunt Rochester of Delaware. So Massachusetts and Delaware are leading this in the Senate, and it is important that we remain vigilant and organized, because we know what is possible. Even when faith is shallow for many, we know it is always impossible until it is done.
Yes.
Thank you.
But once again, on behalf of the church, we want to thank you. We've been praying for you, and as you know, it is a biblical command that we lift you up before the Lord in prayer.
Amen.
And that as you continue to make progress, our community will advance.
Amen.
And the thing that I appreciated the most is that your heart is not just to one group of people. It's that you are there to defend the community, and you present. And just like Quincy said, we trust you. We trust you.
Amen.
Because we know that you are sent by God to do the things that the rest of us cannot do, that we are doing on our knees, or too shy to do, or too timid to do. And you are bold enough. That's very Haitian. That's very Haitian. For us to do the independence, which we're going to celebrate, it takes that type of courage. When everybody says it is impossible, when everyone says no, but somebody else says yes, and I am going to dare to try. That is testimony to our young community, that we don't have to settle for less. We just grace. Thank you for your mercy. Yes, this is the day that you have made, and we rejoice, and we are glad on you, unto you for what you have done. You have brought us to this far, not to set us to fail, but to cause us to succeed. Yes, this is the community that you have called, and yes, Lord, you have chosen Ayanna Pressley